Hi, I'm here for this week's book group chapter. In fact, we're reading quite a few chapters this week, chapters 10 to 14 of Amy Johnson's Just a Thought. And you might have noticed I'm not in my usual location for this. I thought I'd come to my desk because as I was reading, it was chapter 12, there was an image that came to mind, and so I've drawn that up, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it and see what you think of it. Oh, actually, sorry, no, not chapter 12, chapter 11. Life Lives Us. That's what we're looking at this week. So there was this bit. I'm going to just read this paragraph to you about thoughts and what's really going on with thoughts versus what we think is going on. So this is page 75. Amy says, "You aren't plucking your own thoughts and feelings from out of thin air and having them show up in your experience, but your mind is having a conversation in which it feels like you are. We all know what it feels like to have a brand new idea come out of the blue. You've been showering or running or driving and had the solution to a problem just hit you. But if you really look, isn't that how all experience works? Doesn't everything come from out of nowhere?" So we seem to have this idea that we're somehow in control of what we're thinking, somehow in control of decisions, somehow in control of ideas, and that if I could just do it better, then I'd be okay. But actually, when we get close to it and realize this, that no, I'm not making any of these things appear, it actually gets a lot easier because we're no longer psychologically wrangling with it. So this is the image that came for me when I was reading this section. In fact, let me just read this part of the end of the page because it kind of fits with where the image came from. So Amy says, churning through pros and cons and options and possibilities feels different than when "let's make enchiladas tonight" seems to hit you from out of the blue on your morning run. But is it really different? Didn't the thought about spaghetti and then the memory of those past enchiladas also come from out of the blue? All experience arises within us. Of the infinite forms that formless energy could have taken, it landed on enchiladas. Your brain, with its memory and knowledge, may have contributed to the funneling of formless energy toward the specific form of enchiladas, but you didn't purposefully, actively make those thoughts or choices happen. So let me share this picture, which is what came up, as I say, when I was reading that. So Amy in this chapter is pointing towards life living us. Formless essence, empty fullness, infinite possibilities, the blue from which ideas come, all different words that we can use to describe the nothingness which is before all content of experience, the awareness that is there prior to any content that awareness is aware of. And so Amy used that word funneling, so it just brought to mind this idea of a funnel. And to me, I mean, gosh, we could put all sorts of sieves or filters within this funnel. I just put in a few where we can say there could be a funnel of ancestral or generational energetic patterns which have shown up in this body because they showed up in similar bodies a number of years ago. And there can be, inverted commas, for real, personal subconscious patterns. I say personal because they seem to relate to me and my story and the story of Helen. They're no more personal than the fact there was an earthquake last week. You know, it's not personal. It just feels like it is because it seems to be related to this story of Helen. So there's a filter there of subconscious patterns. And then there's a filter of personal conscious patterns. So the ones the like the more obvious, oh, I can't do this and I'm not good enough, and that kind of inner narrator story, ultimately leading to what we see out there, what we see on the screen of perception, what this experience looks like from here. Because notice, this is all you get. You have no idea what anybody else's experience is like. You get your own experience, your perceptual experience. A perceptual experience. There is no the perceptual experience, just yours and the person next to you and the person next to them. And there isn't one single, which again is something Amy's pointed to in this section of the book. There's no single truth to anything that shows up in the world of form. And that goes for all of these filters that have led to this reality happening. And so the thing that I've seen over and over again is that when we start to recognize, oh, this out here, the me and the others and the world, they're not fixed, they're not objective truths, they're an experience as filtered through this system. Then we start to work our way back and we start to be able to recognize the personal conscious thoughts, which aren't truths, and they can drop away. We can also explore subconscious patterns and understand why, oh my goodness, why does this particular relationship pattern keep happening? Why does the same work pattern keep happening? Why do I always fall at the last hurdle? Why do I always seem to succeed and then it crashes? Why do I always sabotage friendships? All these kind of patterns that by the time we're in our 30 to 40s, we're like, there's definitely a pattern here. Like, we've seen it enough times. That's generally going to be coming from these subconscious. And there could be deeper patterns which are at play. And so to me, our work is always to dissolve and understand these filters. Because the more we do that, the more easily this formless essence, empty fullness, infinite possibilities, awareness, the blue from which ideas come, the more that can just come purely into the world of form, into and through this body and into a personal experience, the easier that happens, the nicer life gets. And the only way is this. The only way is understanding that this world, this experience of a me and another person and a world, only ever shows up as a function of whatever's happening in my funnel at the time. So the more I'm believing any of these filters, the worse this image gets. And the less I believe them, not through a dismissal, genuinely through understanding them, loving them, seeing through them, not getting rid of them, that's when the image on the screen cleans itself up. And we naturally live in a nicer experience of life, being lived by life, just as Amy's pointing to in chapter 11. So tell me what you hear in this, tell me what's resonating. And remember, if you'd like more of this kind of content, I do posts each week, so a couple of posts each week, just for members, which go in my Patreon membership space. So you get there through patreon.com/Helen Amery, pick the level of membership you'd like, and then you get access to all of this amazing extra content to go with Amy Johnson's Just a Thought. So I look forward to seeing you next week, or in there, or anywhere else online, and hope you have a great week. Lots of love.